Charlie Walker, you have been so quiet back there, and I know you're one of the greatest singers in the world of the old Western swing kinds of songs. I think we need something like that out of you about now.
Yeah.
Well, absolutely. Get a microphone down there. We want all the stories we can get.
This has turned into a Grandpa Jones show, and that's the way it should be, because he was dear to all of us. I hunted with him for over 30 years, and in fact, Grandpa and Bud Wendell and Tex Ritter and I started the Grand Ole Opry duck hunt in 1968, and we hunted every year up until he finally got to where he'd had a hard time getting in and out of the boat and everything. But one time back in the late 50s, you know, when rock and roll got so big, country music artists like Ernest Tubb that was selling like 200,000 on a single, and I know I wrote one of his songs, I know about what they sold. They dropped off to like 30 or 40,000, and you couldn't give songbooks or record albums away on the road. The people just weren't coming, and some of these folks went through that stage. Well, they had a show in the Midwest someplace, and I don't remember the town, but Grandpa was on the show, and people were coming from every direction, just one of those things that clicked. Somebody run back in Grandpa's dressing room and said, "Paul, get your albums, your books, pictures, anything you got to sell." Said, "We're having the biggest crowd that we've seen in years. They're just coming from every direction." And Paul said, "Well, wouldn't you know, the floors is sagging with them at home, and I ain't got a one with me." People had quit taking them. I mean, you know, it just got to where you could.
Charlie, you was talking about during that time period when rock and roll was big. In late 58 and early 59, I had probably one of the biggest rock and roll hits called The All-American Boy. And I'm the only guy in the world who was covered by Grandpa Jones. I recorded this as a joke about 3 days before I went in the Army, and I was in basic training in Fort Knox, Kentucky. And they're having a big Grand Ole Opry show at the fairgrounds in Louisville. So I got me a pass, and I went up there, and I think Don Gibson was on the show. And here came Grandpa out there. And this song was about, I got drafted 6 months after Elvis. And everybody thought it was about Elvis getting drafted into the Army, because it was called The All-American Boy. Gather around, cats, and I'll tell you a story. Well, here come Grandpa, and he hit that banjo, and he said, "Gather around, cats, and I'll tell you." And he did it all the way through. Of course, it was just an old talking blues funny song. But I've got a story I want to tell about Jim Ed Brown in a minute.
Go ahead.
Well,
We need one on Jim Ed.
We need one.
we want to do it while Jim Ed's here, so he can deny it. Well, we were doing a tour in England and Europe, all over Europe, and we were in England, and we were to play Wembley. And we went to a rehearsal about 10 o'clock in the morning. By the time we got back to the hotel, there was no food, nothing to eat. And we asked around, and Jim Ed and I were starved to death. And somebody said, "Well, on the second floor, they have some snacks." So Jim Ed and I went up to the second floor, and really it was a bar where people were drinking, but they had a big table there full of cheese and crackers and a little fruit. So I started gathering my plate and putting cheese on there, and I picked up one, and of course I'd smell it before I put it in my plate. I picked up this one, it was Limburger, and I just laid it right back down. Limburger cheese, I don't like that. And Jim Ed we were in the middle of a story, he was talking, and he wasn't paying any attention. He picked that Limburger up and put it on his plate. And I thought, well, some people do like it. So we went over and sat down at our table, and I was eating my cheese, and it was wrapped, had wrappers on it. I unwrapped mine, I took a bite of it. Jim Ed unwrapped his and took a big mouthful of it and went silent. He went totally silent, and he had his mouth full of something that he really didn't want in there. And the first thing he did was blamed it on me. He looked at me and he said, "You SOB." And he really didn't know what to do with it. So eventually he spit it out. And I said, "Well, let's try something here." I took that Limburger and I rubbed it around the back of my cushion where I was sitting, put it all in there. I said, "Now let's move over here." So Jim Ed and I moved across from there. And people would come and sit down in that chair, and they'd sit there for about 10 seconds, and they'd start going. And move. We watched about 10 people sit in that chair and move until we couldn't take it no more. So finally we left. That's my Jim Ed Brown story. The day he had his mouth full of something.
There's a little more to that.
No, there isn't. That's all there is.
There's a little more to that. Bobby got some more of that stuff and put it in his pocket. And he took it up to my room and put it under the head of my bed, under the mattress. And we were staying there. You weren't going to tell that, were you? We were staying in that hotel for about a week. And let me tell you something. By the time, did it ever get right? Woo! I finally had to move. And I don't know that they ever found out what was causing that smell in that room.
Well, we knew.
I finally figured it out and left. But he put it put it under between the mattresses, and
took a lot of toilet paper to get rid of that.
I tell you what, he's bought me a bunch of dinners since then for that too.
Of course, nobody else in this room ever played practical jokes on anybody on the road, did you? Go Pruitt. I see it already in your eyes. What'd you do?
Not real practical jokes, but when I first started in the business and forgot my bus and got going on the interstates and running up and down the road, every time I would get into a town where it was going to be, we thought a really big crowd, and the records were doing good in that area. And if the bus was dirty, I had this roll made that had Tammy Wynette's name on it, had Brenda Lee's name on it, and it had Dottie West's name on it. We'd get into these towns where it was going to be a good crowd, and if the bus was nice and nasty, and we didn't have time to get it washed before we went to the show, I'd just roll up Tammy's name or Dottie's name or somebody else's name and leave it on the front of the bus. So that
Jim Ed did some of that too.
Jim Ed was good at that too.
You had James Brown on the front of your bus one time.
We got into Dallas, Texas. Well, everybody that buys a new bus, they've got that thing, the marquee thing up there at the front. So you can put about 15 or 20 names on it. So I turned in all of these names, of all of my friends and people I knew, and all the way from Elvis to Liz Taylor and everybody else. And James Brown. We got into Dallas, Texas, and we got lost. We were trying our best to get out of town, and John Brand was driving the bus for me at the time. And John finally turned around to me, and we weren't paying any attention to anything. And he said, "Jim Ed," he said, "I'm lost." Well, I started looking around, and we're right in the middle of an underprivileged area of town. We were in an area where you didn't say too much. Us white boys, we just kept our mouth shut. And so I said, "Well, what are we going to do?" He said, "I don't know, but we're going to have to stop and ask somebody how to get out of town." So I remembered that I had James Brown up there on the marquee. I rolled James Brown up on the marquee. And let me tell you, he got us out of town quick. We didn't have a minute's trouble. But it's funny, though, that you can, and Liz Taylor, you could roll up Liz Taylor or Elvis or somebody going down the road. And boy, it's amazing, the stares and and they'll pass you and then they'll come back and they'll pass you again. They'll come, looking, saying, are they really on there? But, these truck drivers, there's something else.
That story Bobby told about the cheese brought to mind my remembrances of the early, not the present day and not the guy we know him now, but the early Johnny Cash tours.
Oh, yes.
And I think all of us here have a story about the early Johnny Cash tours. One of the main ones, if Gordon Terry traveled with him, and if Gordon didn't like the color of his hotel room, he'd go out and buy some Kimtone and paint it. Purple or green or whatever. He'd do a good job, but he just painted it black if he wanted to. And if the manager, they set up all night and disturbed the other guests, and Johnny always paid for any damage that somebody might cause. But if a manager of a hotel gave him too much trouble, they would go down and buy a bale of hay. Now, you've seen it when it's together, it's not much. But when you undo it, they'd take it in a hotel room and undo this bale of hay, and it would be up chest high all over the room. Then they'd release 500 baby chickens up on top of the hay, close the door, and go downstairs and check out. One time, he went to an alligator farm and bought 500 baby alligators and put them in the swimming pool, and then went and checked out. But the early Johnny Cash days were something to behold.
It was hard for us to get a room in different places.
Yeah, you couldn't. Yeah.
Yeah, you tell them, you were from Nashville, the Grand Ole Opry. You can't stay here. Yeah.
That happened to me in Frankfurt, Germany. They said, you don't know Johnny Cash, do you?
Hey, Bill, I was on this tour in 1957 with the Baby Chickens.
Yep.
I was on that tour. Yeah, he bought 500, and it was about a 4 or 5 story hotel. Yeah, and he released them all over the place. I mean, he released them in the hall, on each floor, and I'm telling you what, that there was pandemonium.
Luther Perkins was the instigator of most of that.
Gordon Terry wasn't bad.
Gordon Terry and Johnny Western and a few of the others were in there.
He had
too.
help.
Yeah.
Stu Carnell. Stu Carnell.
Yeah.
Hey, can I tell you a Glenn Sutton and Stan Hitchcock story?
No, they're too wild.
We don't allow those.
Do we have time?
Where'd that Western swing song go that Charlie was going to do over there?
Let me tell this one story, and then we'll do it. We were in Miami at the Americana Hotel, the CBS convention, and I was on CBS and a whole bunch of that. I know they had a lot of pop acts, Tony Bennett and all these guys, and Billy Sherrill had just started producing me, and so Billy was down there. Well, Billy and some guys decided to get away from the hotel, and they went over to the Castaways. They had some girly shows and stuff going on over there at the time, and so they went over, and in the meantime, Stan Hitchcock and Glenn Sutton, I don't know if you guys had been into anything. I just don't know about that part of it. I know they were walking around right outside the hotel. They had these alligator gardens, and they didn't know there was alligators in there. They pick up about a 5 or 6 foot long alligator and said, "Let's take this up and put it in Billy Sherrill's bed." One of them got the thing. Now this really happened. They got the alligator around the head. One of them had him with the tail. They took it through the hotel lobby at 4 o'clock in the morning. One of the bellhops there looked at that. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. They got it up on the elevator, took it up to Billy Sherrill's room, pulled the covers down, pushed the alligator down in the bed. Just nothing but the head was right up toward the front. Well, the alligator had been in there for a few minutes, and he couldn't breathe, I guess, with no air in there. Billy Sherrill, these guys come in. They'd been on this party. And Billy propped down on the bed, and he said, "What's happening, guys?" And one of them reached and pulled that cover back, and there's this alligator. Of course, the alligator's mouth went open like this. Oh, it was a mess. And then so after they had all the fun they could have there, they said, well, Goddard Leveson, who was the head of CBS at that time, was up on the next floor, and they were on like the 10th floor. Said, well, let's take this thing and we'll throw it up on his balcony, and we'll call him up and tell him we saw a flying alligator coming out. I don't know. And, of course, they tried to do it. Well, the thing slipped out of their hands and it fell 10 floors and killed the alligator. The hotel was very upset about it. And all these jukebox operators the next morning, they were laughing their head off. So, okay.
You want to sing us a song?
Yeah, I'm going to do it.
You better sing.
F chord. Let's do Pick Me Up, okay? You were mine for just a while. Now you're putting on the style, and you've never once looked back at your home across the track. You're the gossip of the town, but my heart can still be found where you tossed it on the ground. Pick me up on your way down. Everybody now, here we go. Pick me up on your way down when you're blue and all alone. When their glamour starts to bore you, come on back where you belong. You may be their pride and joy, but they'll find another toy, then they'll take away your crown. Pick me up on your way down.
Everybody dance. Listen to
made you haughty and so rude. Your new friends can take the blame. Underneath you're still the same. When you learn these things are true, I'll be waiting here for you as you tumble to the ground. Pick me up on your way down. Pick me up on your way down when you're blue and all alone. When their glamour starts to bore you, come on back where you belong. You may be their pride and joy, but they'll find another toy. Then they'll take away your crown. Pick me up on your way down.
Bill, I never know whether Mel Tillis' stories are true or not, but I heard one this weekend that was attributed to him. Said that Mel went to a dentist, and the dentist observed that Mel stuttered. And the dentist,
Very observant
dentist said,
dentist.
well, yeah, I used to stutter, but I cured it. Mel said, how? He said, I made love to my wife in every room of my house. She ought to try it. He said, if you do, come back in a couple of weeks and let me know. So a couple of weeks, Mel came back, and Ted said, you do what I said? He said, yeah. He said, well, did it work? He said, no, but you got a lovely house.
Is his wife home?
Are we on Mel Tillis? Well, I love it. We did a movie together, Mel and I did. It's called Cotton Picking Chicken Pickers. I mean, that's about as long as your book title. Well, the title was longer than the movie. No, it was for the drive-ins, of America, the drive-ins, hard tops, they call them. And we were doing this Cotton Picking Chicken Pickers, and we were doing it in Florida. We did it all in Florida. And Mel was supposed to be a stuttering radio operator. All right, you got it? So that morning we was all out there. They took up 2 helicopters. The Cameron one, Mel, and he was looking for Hound Dog Bergen, was his brother. And so he's looking for him. So there's in the helicopter trying to find him. And Mel got on the radio and said, Hound Dog Bergen, where are you? Come in, Hound Dog Bergen. We cannot find you. We've looked every place in this world for you and cannot find you nowhere. Where are you at, Hound Dog Bergen? And they put a sign in the window, cut, bring it down. And when it got down there, the producer walked over to Mel and said, Mel, he said, you're supposed to be a stuttering radio operator. Mel said, damn, I guess I learned my lines too good.
Mel and I were stationed in Lincoln, Nebraska, and also in Okinawa together.
Did he stutter then?
What kind of soldier was he?
Worse. He stuttered then worse than he does now. He was known all over the base as a kid that could sing but couldn't talk. And I've heard a lot of stories about Mel, and most of them are true. Especially the one about the parachute, because I'm the one that was on the airplane. It was one of the duties of the flight engineer to brief the passengers when we were carrying passengers. And we were headed to Goose Bay, Labrador. And I was telling them, I said, now, I had about 5 or 6 guys gathered around. I said, now, we don't expect to bail out, but if we do, here's a hatch, you will go out. Make sure your harness is cinched up. I said, as you go out the door, count to about 5 and pull the D-ring. That went all good, but this one little kid, skinny kid, he said, excuse me, Sergeant. He said, I said, you pull the handle immediately when you clear the airplane. And that's a true story.
And that was Mel Tillis.
That was Mel Tillis, yes.
Bobby Lord, what was the football story about Mel?
Well, Mel and I went to high school at about the same time, and Mel went to Pahokee. I went to Plant High School in Tampa. And we were discussing football days, and Mel said, when I went out for football, I went out for quarterback. But we were penalized so much for delay a game. I switched over to N. And they called him Crazy Legs Tillis in those days.
Yeah. Well, I have a Mel Tillis story, but everybody knows how much I love to fish. I fish a lot with little Jimmy Dick and me and Bobby Lord, and we all fish a lot together. But I had never been to Florida before in the 65. See, when I start talking about Mel, I start stuttering. And Mel said, well, let's go to Florida and fish. And he says, I'll be your guide, and I'll show you around. And I said, great. He said, I know a place down there where you catch big largemouth. So we did. We jumped out. I had just bought a brand new Cadillac. I was a big shot. So Mel got in the car, and we were driving to Florida. And we get down there, and Mel, as my guide, would say, well, now, if you... he said, we'll get it on the way back. And we finally got started fishing over there on the St. Johns River, right at the bottom part of Lake George. And Mel and I were in the boat fishing, and he was fighting a big old bass, and he was coming around behind me on the boat, and he said, I'm he said, falling about the time he hit the water, right behind me, and I grabbed him by the ankle and leg and pulled him back in, and he stood there soaked. And he said, I always fall in.
I saw some pictures recently of Bobby and Jimmy and Bobby Lord and who else? Fishing?
Jerry Reed.
And Jerry Reed went fishing down in Florida, and I saw those, privileged to see those pictures, and I saw little Jimmy with a fish as big as he is. That is a huge fish. No, it really is. I saw the fish threw Jimmy back, I think, you know. That was a great catch. It's beautiful. So's Jimmy. Yeah, so's Jimmy.
I seen Gene Shepard catch an 80-pound fish down there at Panama City. 89-pound, wasn't he?
Bobby Lord me and Boxy done the first outdoor sportsman thing that they had on WS, yeah. And Bobby was the host of this thing. We went out about 30 or 40 miles, and it got a little rough. And Bobby was supposed to be talking to me, and all of a sudden, Bobby was real quiet. And they was telling him to talk. They'd say, "Talk, Bobby, talk." You know, you're supposed to be asking her a question. I looked over, and I thought, "Uh-oh." So I started talking to Bobby. I said, "Well, Bobby, all of our kids has grown up." Bobby was green right around here. Well, he was seasick, friends, and I call it 89-pound grouper. Yeah.
That brought me back, though.
But it was really rough. But I thought, here's a big fisherman. Boy, he was green, literally green, right? And I thought, oh dear. Yeah, about 40 miles out. Yeah, way out. No, you couldn't see land nowhere. Only thing you could see is about waves about 40, 50 feet high. That's the only time I've ever really been scared.
I have to tell you a little fishing story. This is not a fishing story of Bobby Bear, or Jerry Reed, but of my grandson, John Robert, who is 2 years old. He could throw a Zebco the length of this studio, and I taught him how to fish by taking him out and throwing the rod out, and I'd get a fish on, and I'd say, "Here he is, John Robert, you reel him in," and he'd reel him in. And so after he was 4 years old, he could fish with his own lure and catch fish regularly. And so we were standing on this lake bank throwing, and he caught one fish, he caught two fish, he caught three fish, he caught four fish. And I was fishing with a fly rod, and I hadn't caught a thing. And so when he got the fifth fish on, he walked over to me and said, "Here he is, Papa, I got him on, you reel him in."
Jeannie Seeley, I'm going to throw this towards you because I know y'all were big buddies, and you even used to pretend that you were her. Dottie West, I know Buddy was close with Tell the story about the time that they introduced Dottie on stage and you went running out there.
Oh, well, we we were in fact, Jack Green and I were on the show at the auditorium in Minneapolis, and Dottie was working at the Flame Club there. So we hurried through our show at the auditorium so we could get over to the Flame for Dottie's last show. And of course, it was in the winter and cold. You know how everything got so dirty. The snow would just be black, and it was just awful up there. We come around the corner, and her bus is sitting back there, and it's dirty, and it's got Jeannie Seeley rolled up on the front. So we went in the back door, and we were just speaking to her, and about that time, Jimmy Johnson was introducing her for the second show, you know. And I said, what do you start the second show with? And so she told me, so Jimmy Johnson said, one more time, would you welcome Dottie West? And I just took the microphone out of her hand and walked out and started saying, take that night train to Memphis, take that night train. And the people were like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And they just kind of slowed down like, who is this? What's going on, you know? But yeah, Dottie, I miss her so much because we had so many wonderful times. We used to do so many fun things together. But at the time, Buddy probably remembers this when Hank's and my house was destroyed in a windstorm. They didn't call it a tornado. We might have got paid on the insurance, so they just called it a windstorm. But anyway, Dottie, of course, was the first one out there the next morning to see what the damage was and how we were and if we needed anything. And so she knew exactly what had happened. She knew what our plans were and the whole bit. Well, she left town, and Tammy Wynette was supposed to play Angola, Indiana, and Tammy got sick. Dottie was in the area, so they called Dottie to go fill in at that part for Tammy. Well, once again, she'd been working those fairs and all, and her bus was dirty, so she had my name on the front. And she pulled into the park. Well, the radio station there had just recently switched to country, and they still had the rock and roll disc jockeys, and they didn't know who anybody was, you know. So when they saw the bus come in with my name, you know, then they thought it must be me, you know. So he comes up there and he's saying, well, Jeannie, it's so good to have you here. We thought Dottie West was coming in, but we're delighted to have you. Well, the news about our house being wrecked had just come in on the AP, so he felt like he knew the inside on something. So he's asking her all about the damage to the house, and Dottie's just answering every question, you know, doing the whole interview. Finally, he got ready to leave, and she said, I thank you for all those wonderful things you said about my friend Jeannie Seeley, and I'll tell her you said them. And she said, I'm just glad you didn't say anything bad about Dottie West, because I'm Dottie West.
Do you do any Dottie West songs?
Yeah, I do a little bit of Here Comes My Baby.
Do a little bit of that.
I think Hit Me Something D, maybe? Does that sound right, Caps? Yeah. Here comes more tears to cry. Here comes more heartaches by. Here comes my baby back again. Here comes more misery. Here comes old memories. Here comes my baby back again. My arms are open wide to let more hurt inside. Here comes my baby back again. He's sorry once again, and once more I'll understand. Here comes my baby back again. Here comes my baby back again. the fun that Dottie was. I mean, she was so much fun. Somebody asked me if you had to sum up Dottie. And I loved holidays. All the holidays were special. I said, well, she had more Easter eggs at Easter than anybody, more jelly beans. She had more 4th of July fireworks. She had more pumpkins. You know, she had more every holiday. She had more of it because that she just had such a gusto for life, you know.
You know, Bill, when I think about Dottie West, I think about a giving lady. And when I had been out of the business for a number of years and came back into the business, she was the first woman in the business, aside from my mother and, you know, my family, that opened up her doors to me. When I was actually really struggling, I was nothing, just nothing. And I was not even making enough to keep food on the table at that point. She opened up her home. Would you come to our dinner party, she said. I'd love to have you over there. And she recorded that night, and I got to watch her just be Dottie West and just have fun. And I always have that memory of her. And the last night she worked the Opry before the crash, the next time she was headed. That way she was asking me, I had, for some reason, had cried. I don't know what about. And so she was saying, I'm having trouble, Dottie, with my contacts there. I was a new contact wearer. And so she was telling me, oh, you know, it builds up a protein when you cry. And she was really helping me and explaining all that to me. And she said, you know, I'm doing so much better. She said, I finally found some help and some people to talk to that know how to help me, and I'm on the right track now. That's the last thing I heard out of Dottie West. Mother?
Yes, and she was so thoughtful of her friends. One day, when I was living in Brentwood, a package came to my door. And so I went to delivered it, and it came from Hawaii. And I said to myself, well, who do I know in Hawaii? And I opened it up, the most beautiful dogwood necklace, Dottie West. In there she wrote, well, Emily, I saw this, and you came right to my mind because of your song. I had to get it for you, and sent it to me all the way from Hawaii.
That's wonderful. Well, Emily, while you and Carol, you got the
Bill,
microphone.
before we
You're
go-
sitting there. Oh, sure. Go ahead.
Let's tell us real quick about Dottie. You tell it. It involves Tommy Hill, and I think that you should bring it to light.
Well, since Goldie's Tommy's sister.
Well, I'm proud of Tommy. He's a pretty good guy, and the way I understood it, everybody in Nashville had turned Dottie down, and on her way out of Nashville, she stopped at Starley Records, where Tommy was the producer, and he welcomed her in, and he did the first recording on Dottie for Starday.
Right, and that's the truth. And I was riding home in my car, and I turned the radio, and I heard this record, and I said, "Who is that?" And the next day I searched to find Dottie, and found out that there was just a one-record deal. They had just released that one record. I called her and signed her, and signed her to Tree as a writer, and did a record for Atlantic Records. So that's the truth.
Well,
That's where it's.
thank
Yeah.
Tommy for holding her. in
Absolutely,
Nashville.
absolutely. No, that's the truth, because I heard that one record on the radio.
Nobody said this is Goldie Hill and it's Tommy Hill's brother or sister or brother, whichever.
And
But
Carl
that's who
Smith.
this is. That's why she knows about that.
And Carl Smith's wife.
And Carl
She's just
Smith's
plain
wife.
No, she's just plain old Goldie.
Oh, I see.
Let's get back to something I was going to get into here a minute. Now, Wilma, can we get another song out of you?
Well, all right, yes, guitar.
The one I know that you're planning to sing. We need a guitar back there for Wilma Lee. Wilma Lee was telling me an interesting story earlier about the man that wrote this song. It was a man named Mac Odell that used to sing on WLAC here in Nashville years ago. He wrote this song, and Wilma Lee was telling me that after she recorded this, you moved to Nashville, and without realizing it.
The home we bought, the real estate man showed us a lot of houses, but then he came to this one, and it didn't have a for sale sign on it. And he said it was for sale, but the lady was very nervous and didn't want a lot of people running through the house. So that's the house we bought. When we bought it, it happened to be Mac Odell's home.
After you had
Didn't
recorded
know
this
it,
song.
yeah.
Do this great old song for us.
30 pieces of silver, Mac wrote, and about B flat.
Capo, yeah.
That's all right if not.
Jimmy Dickens.
Where's my guitar? There's always a capo on it.
You got a B flat? This one's not with it. This one's not tuned with you all. I'll put.
I guess you're gonna hunt.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, see if this is it's with them now.
Yeah. That's close enough for country.
Okay. 'Tis a sad but true story. From the Bible it came, of a chosen disciple, though I mention no name. He planned with the council of high priest that day 30 pieces of silver was the price they would pay. 30 pieces of silver, 30 shekels of shame was the price paid for Jesus. On the cross he was slain, betrayed and forsaken, unloved and unclaimed. In anger they pierced him, but he died not in vain. Far off on the hillside, the multitude came. They found our dear Savior, then they took him away. They smote him and mocked him, thorns were crowned round his head, and his raiment of purple showed the bloodstains of red. Far off on the mountain, with face towards the sun, Judas begged mercy for what he had done. He gave back the silver, for his heart filled with strife. And there in the mountains, he took his own life. 30 pieces of silver, 30 shekels of shame was the price paid for Jesus. On the cross he was slain, betrayed and forsaken, unloved and unclaimed. In anger they pierced him, but he died not in vain.
That's great.
I was going to tell you about that song, 30 Pieces of Silver.
Yeah.
That 30 pieces of silver bought our first potter's field.
Your first what?
Potter's field, where they buried people that. Uh-huh.
In the
Yeah.
scriptures,
Yeah.
Thank you.
the Sanhedrin bought the potters. In the scriptures, the
Yes.
Sanhedrin
Yep.
bought the first potter's field. Yeah. Out of the 30 pieces of silver that Judas, because it was blood money and they could not put the blood money back into the church's treasury.
That's right.
Thought I'd give you a little scripture lesson there.
Yeah.
While you've got the microphone, we need a good song out of you. We haven't heard. I know you were singing $1,000,001 a while ago.
Yeah. Let me
And I
get
think
over here and
that's
get my guitar.
probably what we need to hear.
Only I got to have a microphone.
Wilmalee, is that, while he's getting this ready, is that the same melody as
On top,
as
of Old
Smokey?
Yes, it is. Tom T. Hall's favorite, Carol says he told her.
Really?
So we'll do it for him.
Am I ready?
You going to sing this to Jimmy Dean?
Don't you kiss me on the mouth again.
Dickens gonna get mad.
Dickens, I'm not trying to take your place, Dickens.
He ain't seen me sitting on his lap.
Here, you want the mic on a stand? Here's a stand.
I think we can
This
put
is
that
one of those
back on
kind
the
of songs that you can't sing sitting down simply because it takes too much air to sing it. Now, this is going to be a good trick if you can do that. I don't think you can do that.
stand. Move it over. You can make it work.
Well, let me just go back over here. Here, grab your microphone. Let me go back over here and cause I've got one of the best microphone holders in the whole business right here. This old boy right over here in black. He may not be Johnny Cash, but he's a good microphone holder. This is in the key of B, everybody. It's not C and it's not B flat. It's in B natural. Hey, I done bragged on you. How about holding that microphone up here? You bastard, I'll pull your beard. This is a song that I found down at the Hank Snow's Publishing Company. And the fella that was owned the record company, his name is Fred Foster, is sitting over here.
Sell a lot of records of this, Fred?
Yeah,
Says
we
you did.
did real well with this one. And Fred Foster is, of course, one of the greatest A&R man that hit this town too. You know, we all back in the '60s and '70s and early '80s, we had a lot of great creative people in this town. And so he's one of them, and I recorded this song for him, and it became a big hit for me, and I appreciate that a lot. And all of you sing? It just starts out kind of high. How many teardrops have I cried over you? 1,000,001 tears, 1,000,002. How many long nights have my arms ached for you? 1,000,001 nights, 1,000,002. Just loving you, darling, while I thought you loved me, only me. But you were just fooling, and the fool you were fooling was me. How many sweet dreams will never come true? 1,000,001 dreams, 1,000,002. Just loving you, darling, while I thought you loved me, only me. But you were just fooling, and the fool you were fooling was Jimmy Dean. How many sweet dreams will never come true? 1,000,001 dreams, 1,000,002.
Let's hear it for the microphone stand, too. Mac Wiseman. Long time before Charlie Walker was in Nashville at the Grand Ole Opry and singing, he was down in Texas working as a disc jockey. I'm sure you've got stories about songs and records and people.
Yeah, quite a few. But you guys were talking about crazy songs a while ago, and I heard one that absolutely, Ernest Tubb sung it to me on the golf course one day. Some guy, I think he was from Oklahoma, sent him a song, and the title of it was "Deadeye the Desperate Cowboy," and it was to the tune of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. And it was funny. It had a line that says, "Rudolph, with your gun so bright, won't you shoot my wife tonight?"
Deadeye.
Says, then how the cowboys loved him, and they shouted out with glee, "Deadeye, the desperate cowboy, you'll go down in history." And he, it was so crazy. He remembered it and sung it to me on the golf course. Autry would love that, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, how about a little San Antonio Rose?
Okay, since that's the old stomping ground that I grew up in down there, we'll just do it. San Antonio Rosa, here we go. Deep within my heart lies a melody, a song of old San Antone. Where in dreams I live with a memory, beneath the stars all alone. It was there I found beside the Alamo enchantment strange as the blue up above, a moonlit path that only she would know. Still here's my broken song of love. Everybody, moon in all your splendor, knows only my heart. Hold back my rose, rose of San Antone. Lips so sweet and tender, like petals falling apart. Speak once again of my love, my own. Broken song, empty words I know, still live in my heart all alone. For that moonlit path by the Alamo, and rose, my rose of San Antone. The Longhorn Ballroom in Dallas, Texas. Yeah. Golden Stallion of San Plainview, Texas. Kenny Dickens. Here we go. Moon in all your splendor, knows only my heart. Hold back my rose, rose of San Antone. Lips so sweet and tender, like petals falling apart. Speak once again of my love, my own. Broken song, yet the words I know still live in my heart all alone. For that moonlit path by the Alamo, and rose, my rose of San Antone, and rose, my rose of San Antone. Oh, yeah.
Every person in this room knew the words to that. There wasn't one person that wasn't singing. That's one of the great ones.
One of my favorite cities in the world, San Antonio, Texas.
Great city. Hey,
and
Dean,
I'm going to do this, and it's really quick.
You promise?
Big Texan's talking to this little Mexican, said, "How big a spread you got, boy?" He said, "Oh, senor, I have a very small place, about an acre and a half, and I raise some corn, make tortillas. I raise some jalapeno peppers and tomatoes. I bet you got a big place, haven't you, senor?" He said, "Boy, I can get in my pickup at daybreak, drive all day long. When the sun goes down, I will not have crossed my property." Little Mexican said, "Oh, see, senor, I had a pickup like that once."
hey, I think we all need to thank Jimmy Dean. He's been there this entire session, and not once has he plugged his sausage.
Did you have to bring that up?
Hey, Bill. He just said the famous words. And remember one thing, as long as you shall live, sir, every day in my life is Groundhog Day.
Thank you. Have a seat.
Thank you for the plug, Bill. That's very, very nice of you.
Well, we
You know,
tried.
I was one of the.
Let's hear it for
one of
animal
the
rights.
first people- I was one of the first people to
If anybody
taste-
should know about animal rights, it ought to be you. I'll tell you that. Sit down.
I think Jan's trying to say something.
Well, I was one of the first people to taste the Jimmy Dean sausage. One time we were.
Explain that quickly.
Oh, well, okay. I thought I had. We were working a TV show. A TV show, whatever year that was, at the Opry House. Donna Fargo, Freddie Fender.
Me and Mel
Yeah, right. Hush, y'all just got the wrong place, your mind in the wrong place. Anyway, we were, Jimmy Dean and myself, we were all doing a TV show at the Opry House, and he brought some samples of the sausage. They were in a package, you know, and the whole bit. Anyway, to the Opry House, and gave us all some of the sausage, and it was great. And I will say that I do use the sausage and stop laughing.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, Jan. When you dig a hole, sometimes it's hard to get out of that sucker. You know what
I
I mean?
dig a lot. I think I keep
I
a
thank
shovel.
you very much, little
I keep
lady.
a shovel with me, I think, because I.
What do
dig
you
holes.
want?
I just want to tell you, Mr. Dean, you'll always find the package of Jimmy Dean sausage in our refrigerator. We don't eat it. It just lays there.
You know, and what that reminds me of one time I was doing a thing, and Ollie North was campaigning, and he was doing a television show with me, and he came in, I'd sung a song, and he said, boy, I'll tell you what, I had rather hear Jimmy Dean sing than eat. He said, I've heard him eat, and that's just terrible.
You got that poem with you that we were talking about earlier about
I
that
do.
you wrote about aging
I
or whatever
I
it is.
sent home for it, and my husband brought it out a while ago.
Do it, somebody need to hold the microphone.
I need to hold it for this. I appreciate it. Well,
She's got something to say about Jimmy Dean sausage.
Okay.
Or one more thing about Jimmy Dean
I'm
sausage
gonna-
from Goldie.
This was
Tell it, Goldie.
this was in the newspaper, and I have the clipping at home. Someone had robbed a grocery store, and it was in the freezer department that they had this big picture. They had taken all the meat, but they left the Jimmy Dean sausage.
There's a better one than that. They robbed a store in Texas, and I forget the name of the town, but somebody had stole 12 of those 2-pound rolls of sausage, and it was frozen. And they sent the store detective out to get it, and they dang near beat him to death with the sausage. So there's I know a lot of sausage stories. Don't get started.
How about recipes, Dean? I fix your sausage with black-eyed peas.
You can't beat it.
Oh, it's so good together.
Of course, it's
Put
good
a
to
little
make
sweet
gravy
relish
with it.
in it. Oh, it's good.
Sausage gravy over biscuits is about
Uh-huh.
as good as it gets.
That's about as
I'm
good.
sorry, Bill.
We were thanking you for not plugging your sausage 15 commercials ago.
You see, I had shut up, and Goldie hopped in, and I don't know.
Let's go back to Jan's poem. You're not plugging anything,
Well,
are you?
No, I'm not plugging a thing. I'm not plugging a thing. I think
Going to play "Darling, I Am Growing Old."
if they insist.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I think it would be very appropriate, just very softly. Okay, I looked in the mirror one day. Shut up, Billy. Right after I had gotten contacts, you know, everything is suddenly very clear. You know, when before it's just kind of fuzzy. I got my contacts, I put them in, and looked in the mirror and went, ah! You know, because everything showed up, things I didn't want to see. So the way I write, it just comes to me, and I write, and when it gets through, flowing through my mind, it's over. And anyway, I went and sat down at my desk, and I wrote my sentiments on growing older, and it's just called Aging. What a shock to wake up old. What idiot said these years are solid gold? My bones make strange noises my mind can't remember if it's a cold snap in May or a warm day in December. What happened to the girl I used to be? She used to run, she loved to ski. But when I think of doing those things now, I think just a bit more cautiously. Oh, she isn't totally gone. The daredevil's still there. She's just trying to find out how many of her injuries would be covered by Medicare. I've told myself and others that age is a state of mind. It depends on how you feel. But today I feel older than Methuselah, and age is very real. Yesterday I wore high heels all day. Today they're in the trash. Thank God they say it's stylish now to wear long skirts and flats. The most exercise I get is climbing back into bed each night, out of which I slide, from being lathered from head to toe with all those creams I diligently apply. And it's hard on the nerves to wake each morning in total despair and look in the mirror and find those lines are still there. People my age say, why, you wouldn't want to be young again, just look at me. But looking at them, you bet I would. I would, if only I could. Relive all those years, I'd take it real slow. Because too soon youth is gone and you wake up old. But I've had a good life and more to come, I pray. And starting this moment, I'll cherish each and every day. I'll appreciate each season, though quickly they come, and be quick to say I love you to friends and loved ones. I'll eat only foods that are good for me. Well, that's going a little far. Baskin-Robbins is right down the street, and I think there's gas in the car. No, I can't run, but I can walk, and thanks to God, I can see and I can talk. Youth is still there in my heart and in my mind. Oh, Lord, I wish there weren't so many stairs to climb. And that exercise bicycle I wish would disappear, and in its place a vibrating easy chair. I've used all the Bengay and my muscles still hurt. To heck with the vacuuming, what's wrong with a little dirt? Now, I've been thinking about this process of aging and all the positive things I've been told, but I have a question. How come all these articles are written by someone 25 years old? I've canceled my subscription to Cosmo and subscribed to AARP. More of the articles in the latter seem now to apply to me. I hadn't meant to write a book, and I don't want to get anyone depressed, but at least mine would have some humor, and that's more than I can say for the rest. Yes, there's lots of drawbacks to growing old, but considering the alternatives, it isn't bad. And I've had all these years to store up memories, and for that, I'm thankful and I'm glad. I have just one more statement, and I'll end with this. To have to look into a magnifying mirror to put on makeup is the living lousy pits.
That's wonderful.
My sentiments. What? Yeah. You may have this one.
That's terrific, Jan.
Thank you.
That's
I
really
did
very
that
good.
on television a couple of times, and I received so many requests from TNN and from the Crook and Chase show that they said, just put it on your computer and send it out yourself. So I did, and I hope it's given somebody some laughs.
That's terrific.
You could put my song, Just Don't Look Good Naked, on and make a package deal.
Yeah, I could put that on the back. You know, I'm going to have that. I'll do that.
Yeah, Bill, this is probably not fair to say this following that poem called Aging, but we haven't heard you sing today. We need to hear a song from Bill Anderson, don't you think? He's been hosting all the rest of us.
Tough act to follow. Grandpa used to say when Grandpa had a tough act to follow, he'd say, it's like following a bulldozer with a spoon.
But you noted my recitation, and you taught me everything I know.
I don't know. Will you be my mic? Where'd my guitar
I
go?
will.
Be my mic stand or something over there. Jeannie, I appreciate it. That's very nice. You didn't have to do that. B flat, Mr. No, A flat, Mr. Dickens. You got A flat on yours?
Get that A flat on the guitar.
I got it nailed.
Are y'all sure Lawrence Welk got started that way? Charlie Lamb a while ago was talking about this, and if it hadn't been for Charlie and if it hadn't been for this song, I'd probably still be down in Georgia picking peaches somewhere. Mike, you remember the kickoff to this one? Oh, and Ray Price and Dave Rich and a few other people along the way. bright array of city lights as far as I can see. The great wide way shines through the night for lonely guys like me. The cabarets and honky-tonks, their flashing signs invite a broken heart to lose itself in the glow of city lights. Y'all sing with me if you know it. Lights that say forget her name in a glass of sherry wine. Lights that offer other girls for empty hearts like mine. They paint a pretty picture of a world that's gay and bright, but it's just a mask for loneliness behind those city lights. That say forget her love in a different atmosphere. Lights that lure are nothing but a masquerade for tears. They paint a pretty picture, but my arms can't hold them tight, and I just can't say I love you to a street of city lights. No, I just can't say I love you to a street of city lights.
What a great song.
Thank you. Let me ask y'all a question, because I've wondered this. Okay, I wrote that in 1957. And I said the world was gay and bright. You can't say that today. It has a whole different meaning.
Well, you certainly can if you want to.
Can't say bright anymore.
Well, it just, the language takes on different meanings.
You know why? You know why a guitar picker puts his capo on his dashboard?
Why?
So he can park in a handicap zone.
Thank you. You got me out of something I shouldn't have gotten into to start with. And I appreciate that. Sheb Woolley, we haven't heard a good song from you.
No, I guess not.
We heard the one about you running around naked. How about That's My Paw? You still do that one?
Yeah, I'll do it. I got to stand up to do this.
We should all stand up to sing. It helps.
It's the seventh inning stretch. Oh, you got it, Caps? Yeah, Jimmy's got it. Now back in the country where I was born is on a little old hillside farm. My pa raised 6 kids and one of them was me. And in the fall of the year when the fields got white, we'd start picking cotton about daylight, and on Saturday, Pa would take it all to town. Then along about dark and everything was still, we could tell it was fall coming down the hill, 'cause he'd rear back and sound off something like this. We'd go out and meet him with a lantern light, 'cause the roads got crooked on Saturday night, and he'd come on down the hill and he'd stop in the yard. He'd sit up there on that old wagon seat and he'd say, "Boys, I'm hard to beat. 200 pounds of steel and twice as hard. But I'm wild and woolly and full of fleas, and I've never been curried below the knees." And then he'd rear back and bellow out a chorus or two. rough and ready in a little bit wild. I ain't whip anybody in a half a mile. Of course, there wasn't anybody else there except me and little Skeet. Said I'm just as tough as a hickory briar, and I can dive deeper and come up drier. And he did it too, right off of that wagon seat. Well, it shook him up when he hit the ground, but Paul got up and kind of looked around and then reared back and let us have it again. That's my Paul. Thank you.
That's great.
Thank you.
That's great. You know, we talked a lot on this session about one guy that was here with us the last time we did this. We talked a lot about Grandpa Jones. Justin Tubb was here last time. Justin is not here, and we all miss him. Jeannie, I think you had some thoughts about Justin, particularly as a songwriter. He was a very underrated songwriter, wasn't he?
Absolutely, I thought so. And of course, he held a very special spot in my heart because when I first came back here, the first trip I made to Nashville in '63 and early '64, something like that. Anyway, we were all sitting around a guitar pulling, and I sang a song, and he went immediately to the phone and called Dottie West and said, "You need to come down here and hear this song." And Dottie later recorded a song I wrote called "It Just Takes Practice to Forget." But I remembered thinking then what a kind person he was because I was so new and he was giving me that opportunity. And I always thought it was amazing when I was living in California that Justin Tubb wrote all these songs and the pain, you know, came through, and he lived on a street called Hurt Lane. I always wanted to live on Hurt Lane when I moved here. But I think that Justin maybe had a lot of rougher times than maybe some of us ever stopped to think about, because no matter what he did, he was in the shadow of such a tremendous man, and his father, you know, had to be painful at times.
Buddy, you published a lot of Justin's songs, didn't you?
Yes, and I produced some of his early records on RCA. He had some great records, Take a Letter, Miss Gray, and some of those things were just wonderful songs. Justin, As Long as There's a Sunday, yeah, that's just a wonderful song. But he was really a good writer, and I think that a lot better than most people realized.
Lonesome 77203. I heard a lot of people saying that Hawkshaw's big song that he wrote. Mike?
He was a very versatile writer, too. I recorded a couple of his songs. One of them was Bluegrass Fiesta for Capitol that was a fair hit. And the other one was You Can't Go on the Red Playing Bluegrass, which...
Hey, I've got a great story about, you know, I did a #1 record, Be Glad, that he wrote.
That's right.
Yeah, Be Glad he wrote. But that wasn't where it started with Justin Tubb with me. In 19, and or so-and-so, well, everybody knows when this thing come out because it's right after Goldie, I think, and him had that hit together. He had done a song called Pepper Hot Baby. Don't Say Goodbye to Me. It was rock, count 1, 2, 3, 4, you know. And I was doing it in California. Oh, I learned that record. And this beautiful, the most beautiful girl in all this world walked into this great big beautiful place that we were playing at the time. And I was singing Pepper Hot Baby, Don't Say Goodbye to Me. And when I got through, we took our break, I went down. And she said to me, boy, I love that song you were singing, that great Pepper Hot Baby, Don't Say Goodbye to Me. And me trying to impress her, I said, yeah, I wrote that. Yeah, I surely did. Me and that girl, that beautiful girl, is still as beautiful as she ever is. And this year, April the 1st, we spent 41 years of marriage together.
Wow. All because of Pepper Hot Baby.
Yeah. And she finally, she never did ask me until after we got married. She said, did you really write that Pepper Hot Baby? I said, no, I did not.
Goldie, when you and Justin recorded together, when you had Looking Back to See, and I guess you made some other records together, did you tour together?
Yeah, we toured a few dates together. Probably the year that Looking Back to See was as big as it was. We had about 3 releases, Surefire Kisses and Fickle Heart. I can't recall the other 2, but Looking Back to See was the biggest song. I think we recorded that in 54, 55.
How did y'all happen to get together? Who put you together?
Owen Bradley.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was on DECA, and Justin was on DECA. I knew Justin back in Texas. He was in college in Austin, Texas, and I'm from San Antonio. And Justin and his two cousins, Lincoln and what's the other, Doug, they would come. They would come out to the shows where we were performing, and that's how and when I met Justin. So then when I moved to Nashville, he was already here, and Owen said, "I've got a song I think you two need to sing together." And thanks to Jim Ed Brown, him and Maxine and Bonnie was on a small label, and they already had the song out. DECA being a larger label, we just covered you up.
But there's one thing about it. Charlie Lamb is sitting here, and he listed both of them anyway. But y'all did. You had a great song. Justin changed one of the lines in there. We had something about a Cadillac, and Justin said, what was it? Something about a Lincoln, instead of a Cadillac.
No, he had Cadillac in it.
No, he didn't either.
I wished I had a Cadillac.
No. Now, no,
We're going to fight.
Ain't that just like hillbillies to argue over a word in a song?
The way we wrote it and the way that she was stacked, I wish I had a Cadillac.
And
he said, and the way that she was slinking made me wish I had a Lincoln.
No, you're wrong.
Well, then who did that? Was that Grandpa Jones?
That's Lonzo and Oscar.
Gene Shepard said he said Cadillac.
Well, we sounded more like a family all the time.
Then it must have been Grandpa Jones.
You dreamed it.
It was Cadillac. Justin Tubb was one of the best buddies I had in the world, and I miss him. And I'll tell you, when he would come to California, he would stay with me. He wrote Take a Letter, Miss Gray in my hotel room here. And he was trying to write a song called Take a Letter, Miss Smith. And Joyce Gray brought us something down from the Jim Reeves office. And I said, rhyme it with Gray. You can find a lot of good words for that. He didn't miss a beat. He just went right on and wrote it. And then as long as there's a Sunday was a classic, I thought. But I'm going to tell you something, Bill, and I would like to think something would come of this. And I hope that you could pick this mantle up and go with it. He was sitting right here where Fred is during our last show. And at the end of the show, he said, I want to sing you a song I've been working on. And he sang me part of a song that he's writing. It's one of the cleverest songs he ever wrote in his life. It was called I Don't Do Windows. I know he didn't finish it, but I would like to think that somebody like you would go to his widow and find that and finish that song.
I'd like to go on record as saying as I have one laying around called I Don't Do Windows Anymore. That don't have anything to do with it, but if I ever do something with it, I don't want you to think I stole it.
Well, the other song that Justin had is I Don't Look Good Nude Anymore.
Touche. Del Reeves, you've been bugging me all day saying you wanted to do a recitation.
No, well, forget it now. He's here.
Well, he's done one. He's done one and would be glad to do another one, but I thought maybe you wanted to do one.
Ain't nobody can do anything like him.
Well, you're right about that. Jimmy Dean is a master at doing the narrations.
Will you?
Just don't plug your sausage again.
I got Owen to shut up.
I ought to do some impersonate, but I won't. Let's do one. The guy's got, this must be the bottom over here. It's got some
So you're not going to do a recitation then?
No, I'm not going to do one, okay?
All right. We'll get Jimmy to do one.
No, yeah, see? This is my good friend here, and I don't want to outdo him. Wait till Jimmy gets his capo.
Jimmy has lost his capo.
Where's the capo?
Oh, goodness, the orchestra cannot continue. Jimmy Dickens' capo is missing.
Right of the,
He threw it over here and he's lost it.
I know it.
The maestro.
Can't lead the band.
Say,
Sorry.
Go ahead. You go on now.
I found it, folks. Are we ready now?
Yeah.
All right. We had this a long time ago. 1968, I believe it was. Starts kind of funny, man. Doodle doo doo doo.
That's different.
I doodle doo doo doo. I do. Where's he at? Doodle doo doo doo. I doodle doo doo doo. I doodle doo 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 doo. Well, I lost my job, ain't got a dime. I need a shave and I need a shine. And I'm all hung over. I got a mouthful of cotton. I guess I've arrived. It must be the bottom. If this is the bottom, well, okay, I figured I'd make it one day. I had high hopes, but she sure shot 'em. I guess I've arrived, it must be the bottom. Doodle doo doo doo. I doodle doo doo doo. I doodle doo 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 doo. I'm an honorary member of Skid Row. Smoke old butts and we bag our dough. And if you need any troubles, Lord, folks, we got 'em. I guess I've arrived. It must be the bottom. If this is the bottom, well, okay, I figured I'd make it one day. I had high hopes, but she sure shot 'em. Guess I've arrived, it must be the bottom. Doodle doo doo doo. Oh, this must be the bottom. 'Cause the only way I sees up, and the Salvation Army band is a-coming after us. Doodle doo doo doo. I doodle doo doo, oh me. I doodle doo 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 doo.
Now can we get a recitation from the Sausage Meister?
Thank you very much. I've been using these razors now. No, I'm sorry. That's not what. Sorry.
Do you ever have a serious moment?
Yes, I do.
Other than when
not
you do
very often.
recitations?
Sometimes I do. Once in a while. Okay, we'll do one. The boys in the control room says, "Well, if you got to do something." Well, they wasn't. No, it's a funny thing, but here of late, in the past few years, people, when I'm interviewed, will start to talk to me about success or wealth. And to me, those things have always been a state of mind. My granddaddy was the wealthiest, the most successful man I ever knew. And I doubt if he ever made $10,000 in his life in a year. But his rows were straighter and his fences were tighter. And his house was whiter and his barn was redder, and he raised 9 kids. Got them through school. And he had a wonderful relationship with the man upstairs. And that gives one a marvelous inner peace, and he had that. And if you want to talk about success and wealth, that's it, right there. But I'd like to do a little thing that reminds me of him that, oh, goodness, Jim and I put this thing together more years ago than I'd care to remember. Can you do just a little sweet hour of prayer? And don't play too loud, just real soft, because a little respect for antiquity, all right? Thank you. But this is called The Farmer and the Lord, and it reminds me of my Papa Taylor. I was resting one evening by the side of a road, and I saw an old farmer in a field. He just holding his face was all brown and wrinkled by the sun and the wind. And he was talking to the Lord just like he'd be talking to a friend. Well, Tree said with his voice calm, quiet, them corn tassels need sacking, got no string to tie it, and hadn't raining so long that the fields is mighty dusty, and, well, it's been so unbearable hot that the kids is even getting fussy, and that grass down in the pasture, if we could just have should be knee high, and if we could just have a little shower, Lord, might keep the cow from going dry. Listen to me talking. You'd think I wasn't grateful. If you didn't know me so well, Lord, you'd think I'd forgot about. You'd think I was downright hateful, and you'd think I'd forgot about that new calf that you sent, and the money in the pail that took care of the rent. And Ma's cold's better. Johnny's home from the Navy, and that good Sunday dinner of chicken and dumplings and gravy. And that new preacher says, Lord, he's a fine young man. Why, he's just converting them sinners to beat the band. Well, I guess I'll mosey on home now. Lord, won't take no more of your time. I imagine there's plenty of folks here about that's waiting to ring your line. Evening to you, Lord, and watch over us tonight. But don't you worry about us none, Lord, because everything's going to be all right.
That's beautiful.
Bill, may I say something here? I don't know of anybody that's done any more television than you have, in your time. But we were down in Myrtle Beach one year doing Nashville on the Road. And Jimmy Dean was our special guest. And what I'm leading into is one of the greatest entertainers that this business has ever known is the fellow that just did that reading. And not only is he a lot of fun, but he's just an all-around entertainer. So we told him, Jimmy, we've only got about 5 minutes left in the show. And Jimmy went out and he did the 5 minutes, and the people wouldn't let him off. And I mean, the show had to be over. We had to end it, because it's a 30-minute television show. Jimmy stayed out there for 45 minutes entertaining those people. And let me tell you something. He entertained them. I mean, just him, because the band didn't know what he was doing. But he was talking to them. He may not have known. But Jimmy Dean is truly one of our great American country artists. And it sure is nice to have him here today.
Were you the first major country artist to play one of the major showrooms in Las Vegas?
Yeah, on the Strip, yeah. And you were talking about Dottie West. She was my opening act there at the Landmark. Yeah, sure was.
I remember seeing you there. You had.
I was brilliant.
You were. And modest.
I think about it now, and I say to myself, Self, and Self says, "Dang, you were good." I say,
Didn't you have the four guys with you?
We had the Imperials for a long time. Oh, I remember one time. Dottie West, bless her heart, she didn't know any better. But you mentioned in the group, the Imperials, they were Elvis's favorite vocal group. And so he came in to see the show, and he did that a lot. But Dottie was the opening act, and she saw him, and she introduced him. And anybody knows anything about that, the opening act does not introduce anybody in the audience, but Dottie didn't know, and that stage manager jumped on her, till I went over and jumped on him and said she didn't know any better, just shut up. And so he let her alone. But boy, that sweet thing really got chewed out on, and it was my fault.
Well, what happened? Where she introduced Elvis?
Yeah.
And
Yeah, she introduced Elvis to the audience. You know what, Bello? EP, he was a good guy. He really was. You know, as I said, and I will say it, you know, I don't say it behind his back, but I seriously doubt if he had the mentality to cope with the degree of success that he attained, but I don't think I would have either. But he used to call when we worked the Desert Inn and he worked the Hilton, he used to call and say, "Hey, Dean, hang around. I'm gonna cut a couple of numbers and I'll be over there. Probably be there by the time you get." A lot of times I've looked up, finished my show, and there he's standing in the wings. And anybody that tells you he couldn't get away with that entourage is a liar. Okay, I'm sorry. and he would come in, and the Imperials, and we would go down to my dressing room, and just the piano player and this gospel quartet, and he would sing, and none of the gyrations, none of that, and they sung nothing in the world but gospel songs. And Elvis was kind of a multifaceted person. And I'd look at him and I thought, and he was just obviously in such delight what he was doing. And I used to say, man, I don't know if I really know Elvis Presley or not, but I think that's him. Because, boy, he used to sing those gospel songs and love every second of it. And it was fun to watch him. I believe that was the real Elvis Presley. I didn't mean to get off on anything like that.
Well, that's the reason. That's the reason he got into the business, is because he wanted to be a member of the Blackwood Brothers Quartet. That's what he always wanted to do, was do that. And Jimmy has seen the same thing. I used to whenever he was first getting started, we would play down in East Texas and all. And I remember one particular night in Gilmer, Texas, a little small town, you know, out of Gladewater, and Gladewater is out of somewhere down there. But after the show that night, while the boys were packing up their instruments and all, he came back in, and there was a little piano out there on stage, and he sat down at that piano, and he didn't really know how to play the piano that well. He just played from, you know, whatever. But people started standing around about 12 feet from him. They wouldn't get close to him. But and he just sat there and sang those old gospel songs. And he loved that, you know, as Jimmy said, you know. And then whenever the Imperials and other people, you know, as he grew. But he was always one of the nicest young men that you'd ever want to know. Actually, you know, he asked Bonnie to marry him one time.
Your sister Bonnie?
My sister Bonnie. And Bonnie said, "I am going to marry somebody that kisses better than that." That's a true story. True story. That's a true story.
Did you see Carol Lee perk up when? Yeah. Did you know Elvis well, buddy?
Well, you know, the first time I met him was I was playing bass on the Grand Ole Opry, and I was walking backstage. A lot of people think Elvis never did the Opry, but he did it one time. And I see this little guy standing back there, and he's shaking. I mean, actually shaking. He's got his guitar strapped over his back, and I walked over and I said, "Hi, I'm Buddy Kell, and I play bass on the Opry. What's the matter with you?" He said, "I'm Elvis Presley, and I'm scared to death." He said, "Those people are going to hate me." I said, "No, they wouldn't do that." He said, "If Sam would let me leave," he's talking about Sam Phillips, he said, "if he'd let me leave, I'd leave right now. I'd walk right out of here." And but so I stood there and talked to him probably for 5-10 minutes, just calming him down, because he was fit to be tied, scared to death. I mean, the Opry, just the name of the Opry back in those days, just, you know, frightened you to death. And so he went out and did Blue Moon of Kentucky, because that was the other side of it was That's All Right, Mama, to rock and roll. And he got a really wonderful hand from the audience. And if someone had worked the audience just a little bit, I think he would have gotten an encore. But boy, was he scared. He was so
Well,
nervous.
is it true that when it was over that Jim Denny, who was the president of the Opry then, told him not to give up his day job? Or?
You know, there's some people say yes and some people say no. Scotty Moore says yes, but I don't know. I mean, you know, I can't imagine him saying that, don't give up your day job, because, I mean, he'd just seen him knock the audience out, and he already had some hits. I mean, the first record was a hit.
That's right.
And but I tell you what, every city he would go into, he would just explode instantly. I mean, he was slow breaking until he got Heartbreak Hotel out. But those early records with On Sun, if he went into a city and played, it was all over. He just absolutely exploded in the city.
You published Heartbreak Hotel. Is that the biggest song that you ever published?
It was one of the biggest. Green Green Grass of Home and so many big hits were in Tree. But I found Heartbreak Hotel. I was down in playing Daytona Beach, a little place called the Mellow Club, down there for the 3 weeks of the summer, just on vacation. And this guy, he couldn't afford to pay us, but he fed us. so we went down and we'd work in the club that night, and then lie in the sun in the daytime.
Oh,
and
bless its heart.
Poor
thing.
And May Axton lived in Jacksonville, and she came up. There was a package show the Colonel had there with Elvis and Hank Snow and some other people. And so she came up, and somehow May always knew where I was. I mean, wherever she come to Nashville, she'd always look me up. And I was over at the Mellow Club, and she showed up during the day. And I asked her what she was doing there. She said she'd come up to get with the Colonel because she did some PR work for him. And she asked me to go over to the show with her that night. And so I went early but I had to get back for our first set. And Elvis was back there, and I talked to him for a while backstage, and he was still just marveling at everything in country. He thought Hank Snow was the greatest thing since sliced bread. And so May comes back over to the club that night, and I said, "Hey, I'm working for a publishing company now. You've written some songs. How about writing something for me?" She said, "I've got one song." I said, "What's the title?" She said, "Heartbreak Hotel." And I said, "Who do you think would be good for it?" She said, "Elvis." And so when I got home, she said, "I'll send it to you." So when I got home from down there was a little 5-minute reel. And Glenn Reeves, he was a disc jockey, he was singing it, emulating Elvis. And Elvis, when we got the demo to Elvis, he copied the performance by Glenn. So the record you hear on Heartbreak Hotel is Elvis singing like Glenn Reeves, singing like Elvis. I mean, every nuance. And boy, when that thing broke wide open, that was the most exciting thing that I'd ever been part of. Because you know what? I don't know what happened to it. I would kill for that tape. I don't know what. Tommy Durden was the co-writer on it. Yes, but
it would have been wonderful if May Axton.
What a sweet lady.
Long enough to be a part of this. What wonderful stories she could have told. What a great lady.
I was just listening to all the songs that sucker's published.
Yeah.
He's got more money than a show dog can jump over,
I went around with him because I want to borrow some.
Get out of here.
I brought some newspaper clippings yesterday, but I took them home, and it shows where we were playing in January of 1955. And he was part of my package show out in West Texas. And they had his name listed in San Angelo, Texas as Elvis, A-L-V-I-S, Elvis Presley. And when he worked the first show with me and Slim Whitman in Memphis, they had him listed as Elvin Presley, E-L-V-I-N. And I have those newspaper clippings. And in San Angelo was on his birthday, his 20th birthday, and we gave him a Hostess cupcake with a little candle in the middle of it, and that was his birthday.
Did you ever have to follow him on the stage?
Well, we worked several days out there at the time. The first day I tried to close the show, and when Killen said that when he went to a town he exploded, well, we were playing out in Midland, Odessa, and the next night was in Lubbock, and half the people that came to the show in Midland, Odessa, came to Lubbock the next night, and then the next night they followed us to San Angelo. So he's absolutely right. You couldn't follow the man.
You're talking about Explode. Can I tell you a story about Explode? Elvis was and Scotty and Bill were heading out to West Texas to do the tour that he's talking about, and they got up into Arkansas and they had a wreck, They were in an old Lincoln, and Bill's bass was tied on the top of that Lincoln. And a trailer truck run out in front of them, and they hit the trailer truck. The bass was just kept sliding right on down the road, you know, but they tore the car all to pieces. They called my daddy, and this is in the middle of the night, about 1 o'clock in the morning, and called the house, and Maxine and I were somewhere on the road, I don't remember where, but Daddy had just bought a brand new Pontiac. And Bonnie was at home, and Elvis talked to Bonnie and said, can we borrow a car, because we just wrecked ours, and we need to be in West Texas to do this tour. So they were said that they would only be out there for 14 days. And so Daddy was nice enough, and I'm mind you, this is in 1954, 55, I guess 55 it was, had just bought the car, and it didn't have but about 2,000 miles on it. So he took the car up there, got in another car, you know, Bonnie followed him up, and they let Elvis have this car, and they come on back to the house. 6 weeks later, the car shows up in our front driveway, and this is, whenever we wake up in the morning, it's there. Nobody had woke us up. Nobody had said anything about him bringing it. We kept trying to find him to find out where he was so we could get the car. Well, my daddy was getting madder and madder and madder because he wanted his car. You know, by the time they got it back, they had completely worn out the front wheels on the car, had put almost 10,000 miles on the car, and my daddy exploded. He said, if you ever ask me to help one more person in this music business, you can find another daddy. But that's
that's a wonderful story. I'm sitting here looking at Charlie Douglas and Joe Allison and thinking, and I know particularly Charlie, both of you were disc jockeys when Elvis exploded like that. But when Elvis hit like that, it really hurt country music for a while, didn't it?
Well, I think it was the straw that broke the camel's back. There were some other things that were going on at that time that had put a little dent in country music, but when Elvis came along, it really broke the mold. It broke you too, didn't it, Jimmy? There's never been anybody like him, and probably never will be again, because of the time and the type of music that he was singing. But prior to that, folks like Big Joe Turner and Laverne Baker and some of those other the other rock acts, or at that time called R&B acts, were making a dent in country music, and Elvis just nailed the lid right on the coffin. But it was an exciting time, and I think the first and only time that I saw him in that period of time was when Charlie Walker brought him to San Antonio. He was at the Eagle Hall in Houston for a while, but I saw him in San Antonio, and then the last time I saw him was in Mobile about 6 months before he died.
Folks, it's been a fantastic couple of days that we've been in this room together, and on behalf of everybody that's had anything to do with this, thank y'all for being here, and thank y'all for sharing your music, your stories, your songs, your smiles, your laughter, and of course our thanks to the people who've watched this and who've added these videos to their collection. Jeannie Pruitt, I know you know Amazing Grace, and I think you ought to lead us, and I think that's what we ought to wrap it up with, and hopefully the good Lord willing and the creeks don't rise, we'll get to do this again and again and again.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that calmed my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed. When we've been there 10,000 years, bright shining sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. I was blind, but now I see. I was blind, but now I see.
Thanks, everybody. It's beautiful.